Hello everyone. So today we're going to solve the problem of the day, task scheduler. And in this problem, we have been given a character array and a size 10. So what we have to do is that we have to return the minimum time in which CPU can complete this task. Now, let us understand how CPU is completing these tasks. All right. So there is a cooldown period in which applies to which applies when we are going to do same number of tasks. Like if we are having triple A and triple B, we cannot do a task A after completing the task A itself, right? So we have the choice either to either to take the CPU to idle to place our CPU to idle, or we can perform the other task in the meantime. So what we can have the choice is we can have the two idle spots, and again we can complete this task A. Again we have the two idle spots, then we have the task A, and you can see the task A is completed. So now what we can do is we can place our we can in the meantime we can do our task B, and again similarly for the task B we cannot perform the task B after completing the same task. So we'll be having one idle time here. Let I denote the idle time. And again, after A, we can have the task B and again the idle time. And at last, we can do the task B in order to complete both of A and B tasks. What is the total time we have consumed? So it is 1, 2, 3, 6, and 8. The outputs of this test case should be 8, right? So it is 8. Now let us look at the other test case. We have suppose 4 times A and 1 times B, right? So let me write it down again. The CPU will complete the A task after the two idle spots, right? So how are we going to fill these idle spots? Since we have only one B, right? So we'll be putting, will CPU will be performing the different task B, that is B here. And now CPU doesn't have any task, so it will be idle, right? So it will be idle in this case. So what are we going to return is the task length plus if we have the number of idle spots, then if the number of idle spots are already occupied, suppose in any case, if we don't have any idle spots, right? The CPU was busy completing one task after another, and it happened such that we don't CPU didn't remain idle as any of the time. So in that case, idle time is 0. So if the idle time is 0, we simply return the task length. Otherwise, we will add our task, the idle time to the task length. All right. Am I clear? So how are we going to calculate? What is the intuition of this problem? Since we are checking the frequency of every element, we can make a character map in order to keep a track of the frequency of every element, right? Since we were checking that how many times our A has occurred. So we placed it accordingly. Secondly, we then check for B if we have any different tasks to perform in the meantime. So we put the task B in the idle spot, right? So what we can make is first and frequency map. So let me write it down as array so you don't get confused. So we will have a frequency array. Then we will calculate the total number of. Since if you look at the topic tags, we have greedy algorithm, right? So what do we do in greedy algorithm? We first calculate our answer, then we try to minimize it. All right. So we have been given that we will have to find the least number of times if you will take the finish. So we have been given least number, right? So we'll minimize it. Okay. So first we will calculate the total number of idle spots. That what is the maximum number of idle spots if you can be idle off, right? Suppose if we had three, right? Three A's and one B. So the maximum idle spot we can have is we can place this A three times, and in between we have two idle spots. Then we place our B, right? So this is the maximum number of idle spots we can have. So it is nothing but the maximum times A has occurred minus one. This is two, right? This is 2 units. And what is the number of gaps we have been given? So in this problem, we have been given, suppose if we look at the test case, let us say we have the idle time as 2 units. Okay. So we do 2 multiplied by 2, right? If the number of idle spots were, suppose, if the chunk, suppose we had A, and A. So we had the number of idle spots as 4, the number of times this A occurred minus 1, right? Which is 3. So 3 multiplied by, say, the the idle time was 2. So we would have done is 3 multiplied by 2, the number of chunks multiplied by the amount of time CPU for CPU cooldown, right? So nothing but 6 idle spots we have. So we'll fill it with 6 idle spots, then we will perform any other task. Now, all we have to do is to, suppose we have filled the idle fill. Second step would be idle fill. And the third step would be performing different tasks in the meantime. So now we will be filling these idle spots with the different tasks, all right, in order to optimize our solution. Perform different tasks. So let me code this solution so you get the clarity. So first of all, we will be having a frequency array. Let us take a vector instead, since we are going to sort it in order to find out the maximum occurring character. Okay. So it would be of size 26. Now we'll be iterating in the task array. So now frequency of every character would be nothing but task of I minus A. So in the very first, what can I say? In the very first traversal, we will be having task of I as A. So A minus A is 0, right? So we'll be incrementing that 0 to 1 since A had occurred 1. Similarly, in the second traversal, we will having task of I, which is nothing but A again, A minus A, which is nothing but 0. Again, we'll be incrementing the 0th index of frequency array by 1. So it will become 2. So that's how we'll be going to calculate the frequency. Now all I am going to do is to sort the frequency array, or you can say the vector, from start to end. And I'm going to find out the maximum occurring character. So let me name it as max frequency. So as we have sorted it in the ascending order, so the maximum frequent character would be lying on the 25th position. And now I'll be calculating the number of chunks. It would be nothing but the maximum frequent character minus one. As I said, the number of chunks would be maximum frequent character minus 1. And the number of idle spots we'll be having is the number of chunks multiplied by what? Multiplied by cooldown period, which is nothing but K. Now, since I have got the maximum number of idle spots we can have, and we have the rest of the tasks left that we can place in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to traverse from the end of the frequency array from the 24th frequency, since we have the most frequent character in the 25th place. So we are using it in our we are already using it, right? So for the for the what can I say? For different tasks, we can iterate from the 24th one, right? Not for the 20, not from the 25th. I greater than equals to 0, I minus minus. Now the idle spot will be decrementing it by the minimum of the number of chunks we have, or the minimum of chunks we are having, or the frequency of the different character I am having. So if you don't get the line number 21, I can explain it to you. I will explain again. So we are going to return if we have any idle spot greater than 0. If we have so, then I will have my answer as idle spots plus n, or if I don't have any idle spots, I will simply return n. Okay. So let me run, check if we have any error. So no, it's working fine. So let us understand now the line number 21. Line number 21 says that we will be decrementing our idle spots. So let me denote idle. So idle would be idle minus minimum of chunks, or the frequency of character. So let us consider the test case like this: triple A and triple B. Okay. Now let me write it down. Let me solve it. Let me dry run. So we'll be having these number of idle spots, four number of idle spots. Okay. Now, what is the frequency of B we are having? It is 3, right? So the number of chunks we are having is 2. So if you think carefully, you will find out that we cannot place these B's, 3 B's, in the 2 spot. It will be adjacent, right? So it will be wrong. We cannot have two adjacent same tasks together. All right. Since the solution of this problem would be incorrect, right? How can you place that? So we'll be getting the minimum of these chunks, or the character which is next frequent to our most frequent character. All right. So I have done the same here. So let us submit the code and wait for the response. So it has passed all the test cases. Thank you.